Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JoBro Radio, the greatest nerd and pop culture podcast, live on all your favorite podcast platforms. I am your humble host, Gage Pons, and as always, joined by my fellow co-host, Neil Rosano. Say hello to the audience for me, buddy.
Hello, audience. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast.
And that goes for all of us here at JoBro Radio Incorporated, because we are
Incorporated, yeah.
because we are 100% a corporation. We're gonna cut that right there. That was beautiful. Probably one of the best intros we've ever done. Actually, we've never had a bad intro in our lives ever. We've never even done multiple takes of the podcast.
I don't think we've ever even had an intro. What do you mean?
No, that's not an intro. That's just we do that every single interaction we ever have. You know, when you like
Yeah, as
wake
soon as
me
we
up.
see each other.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
soon as yeah, that's exactly what we do. Anyway, if you're new here, we talk about nerd stuff, we talk about pop culture stuff, pretty much anything that interests us and anything that we hate as well. It's a very confusing line, but it doesn't really matter because we're just here to give you a good time. That
We
came out
also
a
get
little
on
bit wrong.
tangents a lot.
Yeah, we do, but that's part of the fun. That's the good stuff. We present topics sometimes between judging cereal and talking about things that make us angry, and by us I mean me. Um, but before we like to get into all that, if you're new here, we start off with a little bit of small talk. You know, just little tiny little bits of stuff we get throughout the week and whatnot. Even though we record these like 2 days apart and whatnot. So I'm gonna go and hand the floor to you, buddy. Do you have anything to share?
No, not really. I mean, my life's been pretty much the same as it always is this past week.
Oh.
On the ninth and on the 8th and 9th, I got to do some weird overnight detail and watch one of the drones somewhere on base. So
Hmm.
that'll be fun.
I got a
That's
couple.
still in the future.
I got a couple bits of small talk. First one, I thought you were gonna bring it up. I want to talk about Jedi Fallen Order. Uh,
Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. Sorry, Jedi Survivor. They're not that different of a game from what I hear. Um, from what I hear, I could be wrong. So I mean, they both have issues in their own way. We'll get into that. The other bit of small talk that I have, because you just said it. Speaking of the 9th, on the 9th of June, I didn't tell you this. I'm gonna be going to Dallas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because there's a comic convention going on
Dang,
there, and
bro. You
there's
gonna come here?
probably not. I'm only gonna have a few days. Like
Okay.
I'm gonna be leaving on the 9th in the morning. I'm gonna be in Dallas, by 11 that morning. I'll be all there all day Saturday, and then a portion most of the day Sunday.
So it's June 9th, you said?
June 9th is when my train takes off.
I'll try to get a 4-day pass and come to Dallas and see you then.
Yeah, I'm gonna be inside a convention, buddy. So you might need to pay to get in there. But the main reason I'm going is because Charlie Cox is gonna be there.
Oh, really?
Charlie Cox is gonna be there, and John Berthel's gonna be there, as far as I'm aware.
Who did John Berthel play again?
The Punisher.
That's right.
And I cannot pass up an opportunity to meet two of my heroes, especially Charlie Cox.
Literally? Literally?
Especially Charlie Cox. I love Daredevil. I love Daredevil so much. It's amazing. So much better than the
I,
comic
I
book movie.
Speaking of conventions, I was really upset that we couldn't go to that convention that was here when the actor who played Darth Maul was going to be there.
We could have
I would
made
have loved
it.
to meet him.
Could have made it if my train worked.
Yeah, but then again, we would have only been there for like an hour.
Yeah, we would have been there to say hi and then leave. That's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this convention's a pretty big one and whatnot, and I'm working
What's
on
it called?
getting all set
Maybe
up.
like a ticket.
I don't even know, man. I forgot what it's called. You want me to look it up real quick? This is definitely something I should be doing on the podcast.
June
Um,
9th.
Here I can figure it out real quick. Just give me a
Fan
moment.
Expo? Is
Fan
that it?
Expo. Yeah, that sounds about right. Fan Expo. I have a 3-day pass, so you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You can probably just pay for one day. Tickets are on sale
Oh,
right
Hayden
now.
Christensen's gonna be there?
Hayden Christensen's gonna be there. Yep.
Zachary Levy. Joseph Quinn.
There's a lot of people from like the cast of Daredevil and whatnot who are going to be there, and Jessica Jones and stuff.
Uh, oh, Kingpin's gonna be there.
Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Dude, I'm going to meet so many people. I'm going to spend so much money getting pictures and autographs.
Sean Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy is gonna be there.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, some of the Office cast is gonna be there.
The Office?
Yeah.
Eh.
Oscar. Why am I forgetting? I forget their names. I'm dumb.
Is John Krasinski going to be there?
No, it's Creed, Oscar, and uh, the old black guy. I forgot his name.
Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so yeah, there's that. I was going to tell you about that sooner, but it only today was brought to my attention that that might actually be able to happen. So I locked in my, or well, hopefully locked in my days off and whatnot. So hopefully that'll work. Anyway,
When is it?
yeah, don't
Buy
worry.
tickets.
Take your time. We're not recording or anything.
Single day for $28. I think I'll take that. I'll go there for a day.
Yeah, that you'd want to make that Saturday because that I'm not gonna be there on Friday.
I wonder if they have any military discounts.
Who knows?
If you're
Anyway, we
wondering why
should.
I'm wearing a hoodie, like my hood today, is because my hair is dog shit.
Yeah, that's
Excuse me for the language.
great. Can we get back to the recording now and whatnot?
Yep.
Is that okay with you? Do I have your permission? Okay, good. So Jedi Fallen Order came out a couple days ago. And we absolutely love bashing games whenever they deserve it. And this one seems to be deserving of some kind of criticism based off of everything I have heard. So it's a AAA game, or Jedi Survivor. Did I say Fallen Order again a minute ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not going to stop. But basically, it's had a little bit of a rough release. Wasn't that good? Let me pull it up so I can actually read some of these reviews and stuff. They implemented the same thing that Callisto Protocol did de novo, which seems to just be absolute screwy with PCs. Have like a 3090 in your PC and you'll still get like maybe 30 FPS at best.
Yeah. Even a 4090 looks like 40 FPS.
And so a lot of these people, I mean, there's some people, even the positive comments bring up performance issues, but I am normally of the mind, it's like when a game releases, it's not going to be in the best shape, usually. And so, like, because I always expect that. New game releases, it's going to run bad, it might be a little off, might have some bugs, and then it's.
Bugs are fine.
Yeah. Well, even then, performance issues would still be a thing a little bit. And it's like, we'll give it a week or so and then it'll be fixed. But you have AAA games that are doing this all the time, where they are releasing a game that cannot run, basically, and then, give it maybe a couple of months and it'll be fixed. Cyberpunk took forever to make it run right because they rushed that game so heavily. And they did the same thing with Callisto, but the difference between Callisto and Jedi Survivor and Cyberpunk is only 2 of those used de novo.
Well, you gotta cut them some slack. I mean, EA and Respawn, they're small companies, man.
Yeah, they're small companies. There's only like 5 people working on the video game. I imagine.
Yeah,
They can't.
if that, dude.
Yeah, it's not like they're it's not like they're $1 million company or anything
Not even close.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know how many times I can use that excuse anymore, especially for AAA games. It's like, oh, it's a new game. It's not going to run that great. Because I also have the mindset there's people who complain about graphics or they can't get like great frame rates. Because not all games, it's like if you can't run it at the highest settings and get the highest FPS and whatnot, then just don't. But when you have a
Right.
3090 on, let's say, high or medium settings, not the highest stuff or all the highest stuff, and you're getting 30 FPS, that's bad. Like, that's
Yeah, and
uniquely bad.
so the thing about Denuvo is it's made for anti-piracy, but it really doesn't stop anyone from pirating.
Well,
And it maybe adds a couple days to a week of work for pirating to happen. But the caveat, not caveat, but the thing about that is it's so ironic because when someone pirates a game that has Denuvo, the pirated version doesn't have Denuvo. So their game runs great.
well, and even then, you can take that out of it. Even if it did stop pirating, you are still it still screws all of the people who bought the game. Right?
Exactly.
You're so bent on preventing piracy that the people who are paying for your game can't play it, basically. And that's not a risk worth taking. Because like you
Not even close.
you cannot stop piracy. You just can't, you know.
Nope.
I'm not saying there shouldn't be like punishment or some kind of boundary to like try and stop it, but de novo, or however you say it, clearly isn't a very good one.
Yeah, no, there has to be better options than Denuvo. Like, I imagine it's still a pretty new thing, so maybe the company hasn't really figured out how to optimize Denuvo for games, really.
I've never heard of de novo until Callisto Protocol. That was the first
Neither
I
did
ever
I.
heard of it. So I mean, I don't exactly know how new it is. Who made Callisto again? Is that another
Callisto
is that
was made
another
by.
no, it was made by the same people who did PUBG, I think. Or was something like that. I can't remember. It wasn't EA. Striking Distance Studios. Huh.
The Callisto Protocol.
Third party. Yeah, no, this was not a. Yeah, no, this wasn't an EA game. But they incorporated the same thing. But
Yeah, PUBG was the same publisher.
the thing that bothered me the most about it is, like I said, I can't really keep using the excuse because this has been going on. Like take Denuvo out of it. This has been going on for a long time. Where there's a AAA game, at the this is the extreme end, a AAA game releasing a game that they've been working on, and it just sucks. Like it doesn't. Not like the game itself is actually bad, but it just doesn't work. The game won't
Right.
work. I'm like, and that should not be happening. And the only olive branch I can extend to it is it's kind of some of the fans' fault when it comes to those things, because
Well, it's just Pirater's fault, really.
they no, it's not. That's for Denuvo maybe, but I'm talking about performance issues in general. Like take
Oh, you mean like people trying to max their settings and stuff? Yeah.
my what I'm saying. No, I'm not. You're not letting me speak. Quit talking, and I'll get to the point. Is you have, when a game gets hyped and then a company realizes they're falling behind a little bit, they need to work a little bit more, so they delay the game. And as annoying as that is, let them delay the game.
Uh huh.
If they say they need to work on it longer, let them work on it longer. But then people, fans will bitch about it, to the point where they quit delaying it as much, and then they release it early with all of these issues because they have not had time to work them out, because they
Yeah,
don't
but
want to
then
take the time to work them out.
then you have a company like Blizzard who delays a game for nearly 3 years and still puts out something like that's bad.
Well, I mean, but that's hardly the only one. I mean, I Cyberpunk was delayed for years. When did it actually come out? I'm gonna figure that out. Store page. Cyberpunk came out in 2020. I first heard of this game in 2016. 4 years.
Really.
Yeah. Uh, at least I believe it was something like that. But I mean, it's not either way. It's not the worst case, you know. And then there's like System Shock, which is getting released this year, but I that was announced in 2016. It's only just now coming out. But I don't know how that one is yet because it isn't actually out yet. But the whole the idea, like they can't keep getting away with this, you know. The I'll take the meme for that. But it's really begun to infuriate me, or began to infuriate me with how that happens. You know, while you have these, you hype these games up, you work on them for a super long time. I don't know how long they've been working on Survivor exactly, but it's been a good bit. And then even the top notch of PCs can't run it. And the thing is, I don't really even know how much of that is de novo. It might be a majority of it. I have no idea. But even then, you should still have the time to work out whatever issue that is causing. Surely Denuvo has been around long enough, and it's caused enough. It caused a big enough problem with Callisto that they should have looked into that. You know. Either way, I kind of just think it's incompetence that has made Jedi Survivor have such an awful release.
Yeah, for sure.
With Callisto, I don't really know about that one, but there's been a lot of releases that just aren't good to begin with for a long time. It is very upsetting. But anyway, that is what it is, I guess. Maybe they'll fix it. I imagine they will fix it. Maybe in a couple of months or so. I have no idea if they ever fix it at all. I mean, I don't even know if Callisto Protocol's fixed yet.
It is. It took them about a month to fix that game.
It is. I didn't even look into it anymore. I kind of automatically decided I wasn't going to bother with it.
I was so pumped. I was gonna buy Survivor on release, and then I went to the store page to buy it, and then it's like all reviews mixed. I'm just like,
Hmm.
oh,
Ah. Yeah, wait till it has positive reviews, or at least wait till it's on sale. But there's another game I would like to talk about, but I'm not gonna do that
I'm not your beta tester. EA is one of the comments
right
or
now.
reviews.
Let's see. Sorry, I was looking.
Well, you can't really bag EA. You can really only bag Respawn.
What? No, you can bag EA.
Well, EA is just the publisher.
You can still bag EA. EA's greedy little gremlin company. Look, I don't bag EA because they gave me Titanfall.
Yeah,
That's that's pretty much it. Although I do bag them for not giving me more Titanfall.
but they also canceled Titanfall 3 and gave us Apex.
I told you I still bag them when they don't give me Titanfall 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was doing my also doing my daily check of the Silent Hill Steam page. Just I keep thinking if I hit refresh enough, then a release date will pop up.
It's so disappointing because like every game but one in my wish list is like coming soon, TBD, TBD.
Yeah, pretty much. I think mine are kind of like that. Give me a minute. Let me look. Well, actually, a lot of them are out. So this is not out yet. Let's
Oh,
see.
Redfall comes out May 1st.
I don't know if my PC will be able to run that. Yeah, it comes out tomorrow. I really want to play it. It's a shame. I hoped it would. I honestly did hope that it would be on PlayStation, but it isn't.
Your PC meets the minimum or recommended requirements.
No, it doesn't.
You have a 2080, don't you?
No, I have a
Oh,
2060.
2060. You still have better than the minimum.
And the minimum requirements is 6 GB of VRAM. I'm like right at the line to run this thing. My processor's fine though. That's about all I really have going for it. I could probably play it just on lower settings. I really need to upgrade this
Graphics
card.
don't make a game good though.
No, I just want a. It's not about it looking good. It's about me being able to run it, right?
Right.
Because if I got like, you could give me a 3070 right now, and I'm probably still gonna run this game on medium settings.
Right.
That's just kind of how I do it, you know. Like I love good graphics, but I care more about running my game.
You know, I have a 3060 and I run pretty much everything on low and medium.
Well, I also
Like
want, huh?
I always put like foliage and shadows, that kind of stuff on low, and then I put like everything else on medium.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. Or like like water quality. Sometimes I'll see that on like
Yeah,
ultra high.
water
I'm
quality.
like no, that's going straight to medium or low. I'm like, I do not care how the water looks.
You know, water quality really tanks, uh,
Oh yeah.
like FPS.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I
I'm
mostly
I'm curious how it Sea of Thieves did it without doing it too much,
it's
but
an
they are
old
kind of a
engine.
cartoony game.
It's also an old engine,
Yeah,
believe it or not. But I mostly just want a new graphics card so I can stream other games that I otherwise can't right now. Like
I get you.
uh No Man's Sky. I cannot stream that game. Not for
I
the
haven't
life of me.
tried.
Don't. I mean, you probably could, but I can't. But the price of graphics cards is dropping, and I make more money now. So hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to get one in the near future. Oh, never mind.
So
I'm
what's
not
the
gonna say
topic
it
for
right
today,
now.
Gage?
The topic for today, yes, we have a topic. Well, that's good small talk because I actually don't know how long my topic's really gonna last. But today's topic is the art of horror. Oh wait, hang on, let me try that again. The art of horror. That one's not
What does
good
that
enough. Give
mean?
me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me try this again. The art of horror. Was
What
that
does
one
that
good?
mean? Yeah,
It was good.
I'm trying to help you like caveat
Help me
here.
caveat. No, I'm trying to test out my little thing. Don't worry, I don't need a caveat. Well, really, I don't know if I should really describe it as the art of horror, but horror is one of my big things, one of my main number one interests, and one of the things that you hate the most, but I drag you into it anyway.
No, I hate RTS the most.
Despite, huh?
I hate RTS the most.
Well, I mean, you might hate RTS. Look, you know what I'm trying to say, but and now, you know what? I had my train of thought lined up, and then you ruined it.
You're
No,
welcome.
RTS is the worst. Look, it's a big thing for me. It's one of my main number one passions. I love it a lot. I know a lot of philosophy behind it, which is probably what I'm going to end up getting into, which is primarily what I mean when I say the art of horror. But this episode's probably going to end up me talking about certain horror games and why I love them so much, or stories. Um, you know a bit about it because I've pretty much indoctrinated you into Lovecraft, and you know a good chunk of it.
Right.
Or at least with what you've read. What all have you read from Lovecraft anyway?
I've read The Mountains of Madness. I've read some of Call of Cthulhu, From Beyond, and there's one other one. I can't think of the name of it though.
Shadow over Innsmouth?
Yeah, that one. That
That
sounds
one.
right.
That's a good one. I like that one. It's one of my favorites. I say that about all of them. But anyway,
Yeah.
I was laying awake at night because I couldn't sleep for some reason, as always, insomnia. And I was thinking about a topic. I'm like, you know what? I can't believe we've gotten 4 seasons in. And like we've had like scary episodes, or like, spooky story episodes and whatnot. Like, but we haven't really gotten into the juicy meat, that sweet, sweet tenderloin of horror yet. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, buddy.
Yeah, so we're doing that today, at least to the best of my ability. I said I would write notes, and I didn't. So we're gonna free ball it. Um, I guess I should kind of start with kind of why I like horror. I suppose that sounds like the right thing to do. I used to hate it. Actually, I don't know if I ever told you that.
Yeah.
As a little kid, being I'd see think what was one of the earliest things that scared me? It was actually the Balrog from Lord of the Rings. For as cool as it was, it terrified me.
I
Um,
always liked the Balrog from Lord of the Rings. I could not handle Shelob though.
I always thought the Balrog was cool, but it still scared me. But everything else, like Shelob, I do remember that scared the daylights out of me, and I hated it way back then. Now I think Shelob is cool. And I'm also not an arachnophobe. But as you know, pretty much like every human brain, as time went on and I was able to differentiate reality from fantasy, I actually really began to like horror. Also, nothing else in the real world scares me, so it's kind of like a masochistic method of mine. I get scared because I enjoy it now. And it started with none other than the dear old H.P. Lovecraft, who everyone absolutely loves to claim that he was a hyper racist, even though he wasn't. Definitely a racist, just not a hyper racist. Keep that in mind. But my dad was a huge fan of it, and I kind of got indoctrinated to it through him. Uh, Primary, and that started with From Beyond as well. Actually, that's the first thing that I now show people when I'm trying to introduce them into Lovecraft because it's the easiest thing, but it still captures every single element of horror that he usually provides. It's a very cosmic-y sci-fi horror, yeah. Um, and it very much preys on the very simple concept of the fear of the unknown. He did not invent that, but he exploited it all the time. Am I running on too long? Do you have absolutely nothing to add? I'm running out of breath
I'm just
here.
listening.
You're just listening. All right. Well, I'll try to keep this concise if I'm going to be the only one speaking for now.
This is your area of expertise, not mine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I figured you might have like questions or you want to add something that you might know about it, but that's true. I mean, you really just kind of stay away from horror. And then there I am bathing in it.
Well, I actually enjoy reading horror. Like I enjoy reading the Lovecraft stories.
Do you
It's
enjoy
just
reading? Huh?
yeah. Like I like watching horror movies. It's just horror games are just different for me, really.
Yeah, they scare you more. Don't try to lie on
I
this podcast. Don't you dare.
I do get scared in Demonologist a lot, but there's just some horror games like Outlast that just are super boring to me. Like I like games where I can fight back and be able to hold my ground and not just being chased by something really.
Yeah. See, I don't entirely agree with that. I mean, I get it, but the thing for me is I view that as a question of immersion, right? Because I'm immersed in it and fighting back is not an option. And if fighting back's not an option, then that's what I'm going to do, you know? Is the same thing that you do in Outlast. You can't. So you run, hide or die. But I do like horror games better when there is some kind of action to it, and
For sure.
puzzles, even if it's like small. Because like in Silent Hill, you get a gun and you can shoot, but you shouldn't, or I mean, you can and you should, but you need to be very careful about where you decide to do that,
For sure,
because
yeah.
ammo is very scarce. But then you have Resident Evil where, I mean, it's still complicated and you still need to be sparing with your ammo as much as you can, but it's not like, you know, it you, I mean you fight back in that game. It's a zombie game, you kill zombies and you're usually playing someone that has some kind of heavy background that would warrant the combat. It all
Right.
makes sense. Uh as far as those aren't survival horror games. Survival horror games are different. Things like Outlast or whatnot, where running and hiding, that is, I get why people don't really like those as much. Because one thing that I don't like about horror games is just psychological horror.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Forest is a survival horror.
Kind of. Well, Silent Hill's a survival horror.
Yeah. Um,
Uh, but
I don't know. I like Faz and Demonologist. I want to play Alien Isolation.
Well, Alien Isolation is one of those ones where that's another game where it's like you can get bullets and you get a gun eventually. For a while, you won't, but eventually, when you do, that's another one you need to be very careful about when you shoot. Not only to save your bullets, but shooting your gun alerts the alien or
Hmm.
the
I,
xenomorph.
I I
So
love seeing those clips where someone's hiding and then the alien or xenomorph
just
just
looks
pops down
down.
under the desk and the guy just like quickly closes his game.
Yeah,
Just
I've
pause quit.
yeah, I don't know what it is. There must be something up with mine because the last few times I tried to play Alien Isolation, I would end up in a situation where I would hear the xenomorph, so I would hide, and he would basically immediately find me. He would walk right up to like where I'm hiding underneath and look down and kill me without ever having a reason to prompt and look down there, right?
I can smell you.
Yeah, he's just like he just like walks over to me and then gets me. Uh
The uh the xenomorph has hacks installed. He has X-ray hacks.
Yeah, pretty much. He has wall hacks. So he kind of just and then he's pretending so he doesn't get caught for cheating.
Yeah,
Um
ban
yeah,
xenomorph 2023.
but like purely psychological horror games like The Layers Within, that's literally just a game where you walk around to get scared. There's no
Amnesia is
objective.
like that too, isn't it?
No, Amnesia has objective. There's puzzle and there is threats. You just don't fight. You can't fight in Amnesia. You still have to
I
hide. But
I think we talked about this before, but I think what really set off the horror genre, at least for games, was definitely Slender,
Slender Man, well,
The Arrival.
sort of. Horror let's plays is really what it did, you know? But like horror
Hmm.
games existed before Slender Man. System Shock is a horror game,
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
but I'm
It's
saying what set it off for
Doom
like
is a
the
horror
public,
game.
really.
Yeah, that's true. But
It's like people like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, the big three, playing like Slender, The Arrival, or Amnesia,
well, I would
like way
say
back in the day.
no, you're thinking of Slender the 8 pages. Slender the Arrival's different.
Am I?
But yeah, Slender the Arrival's a different thing. But yeah, it was primarily Slender Man and Amnesia that kicked it off. But you can't really compare the two because Slender Man's literally just a jump scare game. Amnesia is like actually abides by philosophical elements of horror, right?
Hmm.
There's a good trope of mystery. There's, a good level of unknown that gets into it. The atmosphere alone is creepy because you hear things that you think are like a thing, but they're not. But then you'll hear that same sound and then it turns out it is a thing, later on. It really throws you for loops. Slenderman's just walking around waiting to get jump scared pretty much, which was scary back then, but
Yeah. Now, I will say horror games that just use cheap scares like that are kind of lame at times, but Demonologist uses that kind of stuff, but it's still fun, and I
well,
like it.
I wouldn't say that they're lame. Jump scares are cheap. I will say they're cheap. They're extremely cheap. It's just putting something in your face and making a loud noise. That's going to scare anyone. Anyone.
Hmm.
Unless you have played it like a dozen times and you know it's coming, like me, usually. Um, but I'm not going to say that jump scares don't have their place because, I mean, sometimes you do that. Like, depending on what kind of game it is, you kind of have to do that sometimes,
Right.
you know. But then you have a game like Darkwood. It's that top-down game, survival game, and it's a horror. There are zero jump scares. You know, you might get jump scared by a noise, but it's not like a programmed jump scare. It's that would be coincidental. And anytime something like catches you by surprise, you either weren't paying attention or you saw it coming, but you weren't ready for the exact moment. Because that's a situation I've had a lot. But other than that, it is all atmospheric. And that is a great way to do it. Silent Hill. Well, Silent Hill had some jump scares. It's an old game, so of course it did. But it has a lot of atmospheric things to it. Nothing can happen, and you're still terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this is one of the bits that I always tell people whenever I talk about my times playing Silent Hill. There's a courtyard you had to cross at one point in the game, I believe, and Pyramid Head was standing right in the middle of that place, just smack dab right in your way. And I absolutely did not want to walk through that courtyard, not at all. And I was like pissing myself standing at the doorway in that game, just looking at it. Did not want to do it. That was terrifying enough until I eventually worked up the courage to walk through, which made it worse. But then he didn't do anything. He just stood there, minding his own business. He was big chilling, doing his pyramid head thing, whatever pyramid heads do, in the behind the ones and zeros in the creepy playground or whatever. I can't remember exactly where it was. And then I did a thing and went back to the courtyard. And then he tried to kill me, which made me want to blow my brains out after that. But that's a good way to do horror. That kind of was a jump scare at that moment. But I had a point before we went on that huge tangent about the video games. You not caring
Uh,
much for horror.
your point was describing like why horror you think is a necessity to art and life,
No, I didn't get to
and
that point yet. I was gonna get to
oh,
that, but I
that
was
I
you
was gonna
you
bring up if you
mentioned
want to tell that story again.
you mentioned you mentioned reading. That was one of the things that I wanted to get on. Have you read Edgar Allan Poe at all?
I think I've read one of his stories.
You should have. I mean, one of the Fall of the House of Usher was required reading in high school.
I never read that in high school.
For us, it was. Yeah, it was like While I Knew You.
I never read it.
What? Who'd you have for English again?
Miss Kemp.
Miss Kemp. And you didn't read Fall of the House of Usher?
Nope.
I think that was another situation where it was my fault why we read that actually, now that I think about it. Because I was talking about horror and then in English class at one point because I was reading Lovecraft, by the boatloads at this point. And then we read that. And then we read From Beyond in senior year, which was pretty great. But why do you think you like written horror more?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have much of an imagination, so I really can't scare myself when it comes to
Fair.
a written horror. I think I've read The Raven
The
from Edgar
Raven's
Allan
good.
Poe.
The Raven's good. Yeah, and then you brought up horror movies. Horror movies don't really do it for me. I mean, you're lying about the horror game thing, but I genuinely don't find horror movies that interesting usually because most of them are the same.
I mean, if you want to count like Prey and Predator, Alien as like a horror movie, I guess you could,
Oh,
but I consider
Predator,
those
Predator was
more
Predator was a horror
thriller.
movie. Predator was definitely a horror movie back then. It's a thriller now, but back then in the 80s, Predator, that was a horror, you know. Because you could say the same thing about Alien now, the very original Alien. To us, it's a thriller. Back then, that was like terrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
there was one movie I remember watching as a little kid that had me like having nightmares for like a month, and I think it was called like Cowboys versus Aliens.
that movie, that's not
Yeah,
even
I
a
was like,
horror movie. That's an action movie.
yeah, I was like 5 years old and or something, and I watched that, and that I had nightmares for like a month.
That movie gave you nightmares?
Yeah, with the arm coming out of the alien's like chest, that got me when I was little.
Dude, that's not even a horror. That's not even a tag for it. Like, that blows my mind.
Or Tremors. That was another one that kind of scared me when I was little.
Tremors is kind of logical, I suppose. On the same vein of things that aren't horror but are scary is one of the ones I have is the King Kong movie made in the 2000s when they were in the ravine with all the bugs and the weird like creatures. Do you watch that?
I don't think so.
Well, there's like a bit in there where they're like at the bottom of this ravine and there's like a bunch of like huge bugs and centipedes and these weird things and one of them like ate a dude. That terrified me as a small kid seeing that. But
Uh,
I grew out of it.
It honestly, it was kind of a scary movie. Like
What?
first time watch for me. It
What was
it
it?
1 and 2.
It was kind of a scary movie. Yeah, no, it
Like
was terrifying. Don't try to.
the first time watch, I got scared.
Yeah, I mean, it still scares me, but I don't look at those movies the same way you do. Um, the second one though was not quite as scary, but it's not supposed to be entirely. At least I would argue it was scary
Yeah,
enough, you know. Yeah, but with it, even now, it's still kind of like it doesn't like make me feel as scared as the first time I saw it. But
I
I
just get
watch,
uncomfortable.
but I watch it, and it still frightens me because I know things about it that other people that haven't like read the book or are as addicted to horror as I am would know. Is
The deadlights.
there is a lot more to it. Well, I mean, that's not what I really entirely meant. But one of the things that kind of I use to, explain it is gore horror is a thing where it's like people have a fear of goriness. I would that's not ever what scares me. And I think if you have a movie or a game that is relying solely on gore, then or like the mostly on gore, I should say, then it's not very good. Because when you use something like gore in a horror movie, it should be to prove a point. And that's how it did it, right? Because it's a pretty gory movie and whatnot. And the book is equally as much so, which I would honestly not recommend anyone to read it. But the gore proves a point that you have this thing. It is a lot smarter, it's a lot bigger, it's a lot more understanding of things, you know, and it absolutely loves to torment and murder children. And it paints the picture that this thing is downright as evil as can be. And it doesn't care. Not only does it not care, but it loves it. It because he doesn't need to feed off of kids. He really doesn't even need to scare them to feed off of them. He does that because he enjoys it. It's more enjoyable for him to do it. And that's really what
Big facts.
makes it like horrifying is you have this thing that is basically immortal and it just absolutely terrorizes humanity for fun, specifically kids. Um and that is a very appropriate way to do a monster, especially in today's society where not just monsters but specifically like the antagonists or bad guys in movies, they always want to give them some reason where it's like they need to do what they're doing, to make them like the good guy.
Yeah,
I miss movies
playing
for
devil's advocate.
I miss movies with monsters or otherwise to where they were bad just because they enjoyed being bad. And what do you mean devil's advocate? That wasn't a devil's advocate thing.
Well, like movies will like kind of have a devil's advocate thing, like, oh, this person did this because they were broken. Like how people like say, oh, Darth Vader isn't a bad person; he's just broken.
Well, no, that's not entirely what I mean. Well, like Thanos, right? Thanos wanted to wipe out half the universe because he thought it was the right thing to do. He was trying to save the universe by killing half the universe because that was like the only logical way in his head. Like he was trying to do good, you know.
Right.
In the comics, that's not at all what it was. Thanos wanted to kill half the universe to please death. You know, it was purely selfish. But a lot of movies will take a bad guy and again try to make it on topic, monster or otherwise, and try to give them some altruistic motive, you know. So it's like a question, are they really the bad guy? Yes, absolutely. Yes. What you want doesn't matter. What you're doing does, you know. And then I would apply that same logic to Darth Vader. Doesn't matter what you wanted, it's what you did. And what you did was evil as shit. So, sorry, didn't mean curse words. Anyway, we're trucking off. I guess horror, as far as what the title is going to imply. I think the reason I really like horror is it gives me that sense of unpredictability and like anxiety that I just can't really get from many things. And I love a good story. I love a good story, and then I like not knowing what's ahead, and it terrifies me, but it's invigorating for me. And then that leads into something you were going to say earlier, or you thought I was going to say earlier, is there's an article I read at one point that is about the philosophy of horror specifically and why it is good, why horror is a good thing for people, and how it can even be healthy, or why people like it and how it can be healthy. Um, and it basically goes along the lines of you're presented a story through some type of format, book, movie, or game, whatever. And it is presenting you with this awful, awful situation with an awful, awful thing doing awful, awful things. And you are going through this story, through the immersion that a story should provide and experiencing it in your own mind, pretty much. And it's terrifying. It is awful. Lots of b- garbage you go through, basically. But eventually you finish that story, and you finish it. It's over. Maybe not a happy ending. I don't know. It just depends on whatever you're reading or whatever. And usually for people who do enjoy horror, or this is kind of how they start liking it, is it can give them that sense of clarity that they have completed and surpassed this awful, awful scenario. And then the next one they go into won't be quite as bad, and then they can surpass that as well. It's a drive thing usually, right? And I think that's pretty much how it sums it up about me. It's very much a drive thing. I don't know if you have that or anything. Probably not, because if you did, I
I
think you would
mean,
be digging into it more.
I don't know. Like I said, I have no imagination when it comes to like books or whatever. So I'm just reading it and I just find the story, you know, uh I find the story pulling me into it like deeper and deeper, and I enjoy reading it and like the writing of it and all that. I enjoy like how the story is um,
Well, if it's not about
made.
imagination, if you don't have imagination, I would imagine games and movies would scare you more than books. Because with books, you actually have to try and capture that in your head.
Yeah, I mean, really the only thing that scares me in movies and books, there's like two or three things. It's one, jump scares, obviously it scares everyone. Uh Two, just the anxiety that something is coming or something might come.
Yeah.
And three is when I'm stuck in a position where I know I'm gonna die.
Yeah, those are the best for me. Not experiencing them, I mean watching you, because watching you plead in desperation, and there's just nothing more pure than that, really. Although that hasn't happened in Demonologist yet, but it happens in like every other game that we play when something is beating you and you're just pleading for your life.
It has happened, Demonologist, and it was your fault
I don't remember. What do you mean? When?
when we were trying to exercise that on Rio, and it was chasing after me. I'm just like, please, please.
No, not that time. It just went for you. You want to know why it didn't go for me? Because I had the gun. It wasn't going to run me
Yeah,
down.
yeah, but you didn't even see it. I'm just like, my guy, it's right there. My guy.
Yeah, because
He's
I
like,
was
oh,
facing
what?
the other way. You understand that ghost will go invisible every now and then, right?
Yeah.
And he
Mm-hmm.
did that right at the perfect time. And then he was behind me. I turned around and I shot him in the butt. What are you even complaining about? You survived. You just gonna ignore
Yeah.
that? Yeah, I saved
Yeah.
your life. You're welcome. Don't bitch at me.
Well, I'm just you just saying that hasn't happened in that Demonologist yet, but it has.
I said I don't know if it happened in Demonologist. I couldn't remember. And now I do. Because you so aggressively decided to point it out. Uh,
I still love that clip in the basement of the hospital.
yeah, that is a really funny clip. If you want to know what we're talking about, go check out our socials, JoBro Radio on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, and Facebook.
It's only on our TikToks, actually.
Oh, you didn't post it on
I
Twitter?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
thought
Let me
you
look.
did. I could have sworn you.
Oh no,
Yeah, there goes your camera. Check later. Could have sworn that you did. Put your camera back on.
it is on.
It's. Oh, hang on. I need to turn it back on because you switched off of it like a gob.
Oh no, I did put it on Twitter. My bad.
Yeah, see? Told you. I'm not crazy. I especially knew that because you're the one who told me it was on Twitter. I'm like, it definitely is. But yeah. Oh, shoot. That was another tangent that I immediately forgot.
Do you want to rehash the story about a certain someone and my nephew?
Did I already talk about. Didn't I talk about that last episode?
You talked about it before. I don't know what episode it was, but it entails into this and
No, it was
your
definitely.
opinion on why you
It was
think
definitely.
horror is necessary.
It was definitely last episode.
Yeah, because it was the art of gaming.
Yeah. But basically, I think horror is. Pretty much, yeah, it does tie in. I think horror is necessary. You know, maybe I mean it's not. Maybe it's not for everyone. You know, if you don't like horror, you don't like it. There isn't really anything you can do to change that. But I think I don't think that horror is one of those things that should entirely be uh like advocated against because it really does, help improve, what you can handle to a certain degree. And it does kind of train your mind to like build that fortitude against, being crippled with fear is pretty much the way I view it.
Hmm.
Now there are things about horror that should be advocated against. That primarily happens in movies, right? Um, and I have an example right off the top of my head, but think I should. I don't think saying it out loud on the podcast is appropriate. There's some things that they put in horror movies and whatnot that really shouldn't be there because it's not
I think
scary. It's
talking
just
about
repulsive.
vor.
I don't even know what that is.
Um, if it's with the pyramid head in that Silent Hill movie, then that's what vor is.
That's one. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah. The Silent Hill movies are actually a perfect example. Uh, it's very sexually violent. We'll just say
Yeah.
that. That needs to not be the thing. That's not scary. That's just gross for me at least.
Hmm. You
Uh,
know, I find it like weird. Like I don't think I've ever been in a real life situation where I've been genuinely terrified as like I have in a game, or watching a movie.
let's see if I have.
Like even getting bombed overseas, I was just like, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I don't really care. I'm trying to go back to sleep.
I think there was probably a couple of times in my life where I was, but I can't really remember them off the top of my head. Uh, unless I was just a little, or maybe the only times is like when I was a little kid and I was just stupid and I'm like, I'm gonna die for like this or that, just something out of whack that I was doing. But
Um, Actually, no, I do remember one where I was actually kind of scared. I was on a cruise, and one of the excursions at one of the docks was snorkeling. And my parents made me, or my mom made me go out snorkeling in the middle of like the ocean, pretty much.
oh,
The water was really clear down, so I could see everything around me. But yeah, that made my heart race, and I was like, I want to get back in the boat now.
I don't like that. I really don't like that. I wouldn't be caught dead doing that. You may as well just put a gun to my head and kill me if that's my option. Like, I am not going snorkeling in the ocean. And there was a video I saw recently actually about like this one dude who was like, I guess he was in some kind of like tub in the water, and a shark like tried to eat him through it. Like but like the tub was clear, so it like tried to It would have eaten him. It was looking at him and whatnot, and it outright flipped him just like threw that tub in the air and flipped him out of it. And I guess he got back on the boat, and the shark like pissed off, and he got back on the boat or something like that. I'm like, I don't know if I would just never ever touch water ever again if I experienced that.
Randy says it perfectly. You see that big wet bit? That's its bit. You see this dry bit that you're standing on with your legs that have evolved to stand on the dry bit? This is your bit. You
Yeah.
go into its bit, you're gonna get bit.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's their area. I'm the top of the food chain on land usually, right? Like I'm good with this. Like, but on in the ocean, no, no, you're not.
Bottom.
Not
Yeah,
even close.
bottom.
You're near the bottom at least. I mean, you're not the very bottom, but you're
You're you're
close.
just you're just under mantis shrimp.
Under mantis shrimp, just under mantis shrimp. I
Yeah,
forgot about the mantis shrimp. Now that thing is at the top. That thing would take out a great white. I'm convinced. Mantis shrimp would just punch a great white to death.
they're apex predators.
Yeah, pretty much. Mantis shrimp just punch their enemies to death, and it's absolutely horrifying. Although they're not technically a mantis or a shrimp.
I
No
mean,
one
they
knows.
are a crustacean.
They're a crustacean, but they're not a mantis or a shrimp. They're not mantis type and they're not shrimp type.
I'm
Uh,
convinced they're from another planet.
so am I.
Like, have you seen a mantis shrimp? They're
Yes, I've seen a
wacky
mantis
looking.
shrimp. Did you know that mantis shrimp have the most advanced and powerful eyesight compared to all the other predators on the planet?
Really?
Supposedly, either that or it's in the ocean. They have the most powerful eyesight on the ocean, but I'm pretty sure it's all predators because a mantis shrimp is definitely considered a predator, and I understand why. It punches so hard that the water around the punch of impact and whatnot, the water around it will turn into plasma. That's how fast it punches.
Hmm. What were those crabs you're talking about like a
Coconut
season back?
crabs.
Coconut crabs.
Coconut crabs. Those guys are different. They don't punch, but God, they're scary.
They can take birds out of the air mid-flight.
Yeah, straight up. Birds like spent millions of years evolving to fly to stay away from predators and sleep in the trees, and then a crab climbs and breaks your wings one by one and eats you alive. I
Yeah.
swear, evolution is a weird thing. Crabs wanted to eat birds. Birds started flying and sleeping in trees, and the crabs are like, I bet, climb. They got bigger and they climbed. It's absolutely hysterical and very, very terrifying as well.
I like crabs. They taste good.
Crabs do taste pretty good. Especially snow crab.
Never had snow crab. I've had king
Never,
crab.
you never
About
had
it.
snow crab?
No.
Snow crab's pretty good. King crab's pretty great. I've not had crab in a long time. I've wanted to make crab mac and cheese for a long time though. Now I
I
think
don't
about
think
it.
I've had I've had imitation crab in the past couple of years, but I don't think I've had genuine crab in probably 7 years.
Really, that long?
Yeah. It was at a 4th of July party.
We're gonna have to change that. I love crab. Crab's amazing. I was
You
trying
gotta
to.
come down for a crawfish broil one year down here
Why?
because it's delicious.
I mean, sure, but I have those here.
Yeah, but me,
It's not worth it.
my son.
He's especially not worth it. I'm just kidding. I plan to eventually. That hurt. That was very bright. Well, I kind of hoped that I'd be able to have more to say about this, but I think we're out of time for this episode, bud.
We're out of time.
Well, sort of. We're an hour in.
I'm sure we can get a little bit more to talk about.
I don't really know what else to add. I kind of like see this is why I really need to write notes or get medicated or both because this
Yeah.
happens. I like get on my long tangents about one point and then I get on that tangent for so long I forget my other points.
Yeah, that happens to me sometimes.
Or I
I
completely
usually do write some things down,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I don't write down anything. I did for the first couple of episodes when we like very first started, and then I just
yeah.
stopped. Like,
Dude, that
nah,
was a jittering mess those first few episodes.
I don't need those. I don't need those things. I thought I sounded pretty good, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I actually got my confidence in putting something out on the internet, so
Yeah, I don't. I don't know if I ever. Excuse me. I don't know if I ever didn't have that or whatnot. I don't listen. I don't listen to these episodes, so I don't really know. Someone would have to tell me, like, yeah, you sound insecure as fuck.
I listen to
Excuse me.
like the first 10 minutes, like 10 minutes in the middle and the last 10 minutes.
Oh, so you just listen to parts of it.
Yeah, I make sure the beginning's good, the middle's good, and the end's good.
Yeah. I don't listen to them at all because it doesn't matter how good I sound or whatnot. I do not like the sound of my own voice.
I really wish you'd listen to at least one episode
Why?
so you can like it gets quiet. Like I'll have my car full volume and my phone Bluetooth full volume and I'll still barely hear the podcast sometimes.
What do you mean? Like that sounds like a you problem. I don't know what problem you're talking about or how to fix it because we've been over this and I've done everything I can do without making it absolutely too loud.
Okay, yeah, but there's a thing like you can always turn volume down, but you can only turn up volume so much.
Yeah, but the thing no one tells me I'm too quiet usually. This is a you thing.
Well, I've been told this too
About what?
about
You?
the podcast being very quiet. Yes.
Yes, and I increased the volume like 3 separate times. So what more do you want from me?
Everything.
That's too bad. I'll think about it. Maybe if you're good, then I'll. Have you
Oh
listened to the
yeah.
YouTube ones at all? How are those?
They're pretty quiet. Even like if I have my headset fully up and YouTube fully up, and my Windows volume fully up.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, we're gonna have to solve that somehow. I figured the YouTube ones would probably be quiet, but I don't know what to do about the conversion ones, the audio format ones, other than cranking up the volume even more. But I people, you're not telling me about these complaints because
I have before.
you used to no no you told me that they were quiet like a few times like in the beginning. I'm like, okay, I'll turn it up to 100%, you know, and then it was nothing for a while, and then you're like, oh yeah, people are still saying it's a little quiet, so I pumped it up to 125, and ever since then I'd never heard a thing about it until just now.
Yeah, I got told about it the other day. That's since season 4, it's been really quiet.
By who? Was it a new listener?
It was Johnson.
Everything in season 4 has been quiet for some reason. I don't know how. Well, screw you, Johnson, you're ruining everything.
You love Johnson.
Oh, he's making my life more complicated here. I don't know how to increase my stuff without like making it too bad. I'll figure it out.
Well,
I'm a professional. We never fuck up. Excuse me.
yeah, I was gonna say you can apologize for that one.
Yes, I am, and I did. Look, every single season, I believe we've clarified we don't necessarily know what we're doing yet.
Yeah, 4
uh,
seasons in and we're still brand new at this.
we still don't. We probably never will. But look, sound is hard. Okay, sound is very hard. So we're just vibing with it, and maybe we'll fix it somehow eventually. Okay, I believe I've stalled long enough. We're gonna go ahead and call it here.
All right.
This was a good episode.
It was.
I still, I mean, it doesn't matter. I hope everyone else enjoyed it at least. That's really what it's here for. It's here for you to enjoy, not me, because I hate everything that I do and everything that I am. But if you don't hate everything that we are and everything that we do, go ahead and check out our socials on JoBro Radio, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook. I said that all backwards, but it doesn't even matter. You can also check out our Twitch page, JoBro Gaming _TTV. We stream there Mondays and Wednesdays, Thursdays. I'm screwing it all up now, but it's part of the fun. And then we have our solo stream pages. Frosty Butcher TTV for myself and Just Phoenix TTV for Neo. Got
Just
anything else to add?
underscore Phoenix TTV.
Yeah, the underscore is implied. You have anything else to add, buddy?
No, I had something. I was thinking about it, and then I was vibing, and I forgot about it.
You're vibing too hard.
Yeah.
I'll let you think about it for a minute.
Hang on, what was it?
Will harder music let you think of it?
I gotta put my thinking cap on.
Your thinking cap? Do you actually have just a thinking cap? What the hell is that? Is that WD-40?
Yes.
Really? Why do you just have that on your desk?
Don't ask.
What was it about? Was it something funny or something like pertaining to like things that matter?
It was kind of in between.
I don't know.
Oh, this is what it was.
There you go.
Be sure to sign our petition to put a boycott on Denuvo.
Denuvo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh, little surprise baby there. Whenever we eventually
We're
make
going.
one.
Yeah, we're going to the Supreme Court with it in 2 months.
I don't think that we should take that to the Supreme Court. I don't think that's a Supreme Court issue.
I'll make it a Supreme Court issue.
No, we have other Supreme Court issues that involve petitions, but we're not going to talk
like
about
California?
those. Yes. Don't clarify any further or we'll be blacklisted. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope this episode was good enough for everyone listening, considering we're screw-ups. But we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for tuning in. Say peace, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.